If you haven't seen my top 5 best SMGs video, make sure you watch that to know what weapon you need to complement your best AR. So I'm gonna give you guys the top 5 best ARs in Warzone 2, and technically it's gonna be the top 5 best long-range weapons just because there's typically only about 1 or 2 great ARs, and I'm gonna give you guys in top 5 category. At number 5, we start with the Lochman 5.56. This weapon has 0 recoil and pretty decent fire rate. Now, I think, in my opinion, this is great for somebody that doesn't have the other weapons leveled up, but want to use something that doesn't take much effort and can still get the job done. We start out with the Harbinger D20 for the sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking speed. Now, I maxed out the bullet velocity and increased the recoil smoothness by 0.99 ounces just because at that point, it no longer benefits me. Put on the 15.9 Lochman rat barrel. This helps with the bullet velocity, damage range, recoil control, and hip fire accuracy at the cost of aim down sight speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control. Now, I maxed out the damage range and increased the recoil steadiness by 0.31 pounds, just because I think at that point, once again, it no longer benefits me. Put on the Brune Warrior grip. Did not tune this, but helps with the hip fire accuracy, hip recoil control, aim walking steadiness, and the important thing out of all this is the recoil steadiness. Now, it reduces the hip walking speed and aim down sight speed, but that's not a big deal. I put on high velocity, maxed out the bullet velocity, and maxed out the damage range, and last but not least, put on a 40 round mag. Now, there is a 60 round mag option, but I just don't think it's necessary. Plus, you're going to lose quite a bit of mobility with this compared to the 40. Now, just to show you guys how good this is, this has pretty decent accuracy. I mean, probably top of the line accuracy, but not the highest damage. So as you guys see, fantastic accuracy. Like, you're not missing. This is basically the Grawl on freaking stuff. I don't want to say the name, but this is the Grawl on stuff. It's an amazing weapon. You don't have to crouch or anything to actually use it. It's just a really good weapon to use. So please give this a try. If you don't have any of the other ARs, please use this and you'll do a great job. Next, we're moving on to the Cast-Off 762, and this thing is amazing. I think it's a powerhouse and has very easy recoil to control, in my opinion. Now, there's a little bit of recoil, but I believe you can control it. Now, we start out with the Polar Fire S because this increases the sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of the aim down sight speed and aiming stability. I maxed out the bullet velocity and increased the recoil smoothness by 0.72 just because at that point, it no longer benefits. Put on the Cast 10 584mm barrel. Increase the damage range by 0.28 and the recoil steadiness by 0.26 just because around that range, it doesn't really help anymore. It helps with the damage range, bullet velocity, hip fire accuracy, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and movement speed. We put on the secret sauce, which is the Aim Op V4. This thing is incredible and basically gives you no recoil. Make sure you max out the FAR, and then I put on Demo X2 grip. Tuned it to increase the aiming idle stability by 0.15 inches just because at that point it actually doesn't help anymore, surprisingly enough, but it really doesn't. And then 0.29 ounces for recoil steadiness because it doesn't benefit anymore after that. And, you know, this helps with the recoil control. I put on the 40 round mag and just show you guys how good this gun is. Like I said, this thing is incredible. Has a little bit of recoil, but I think the trade-off is worth it for such an amazing powerhouse. Like, it bounces a tiny bit, but if you're pretty used to Call of Duty, I think that this is something that you can definitely easily use. Even somebody that's a beginner can easily use this weapon, so please give this a try and it'll definitely help you out. Number 3, we're moving on to the RPK, and some people are going to be shocked that I put this as number 3, but trust me, there are 2 other weapons that are just overall better. But Polar Fire S is what we're going to start out with. The RPK is so amazingly balanced with great damage and great accuracy, but for the Polar Fire S, this increases sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming stability. I increased the bullet velocity by 0.32 inches and the recoil smoothness by the same amount. At that point, it no longer benefits anymore, so you might as well just keep it around that range so you don't have any penalties. I put on the TAC 597 barrel for the damage range, hip fire accuracy, movement speed, and bullet velocity. This reduces hip recoil control and aim down sight speed along with recoil control, but we can take care of that. It increases the damage range by 0.26 inches and the recoil steadiness by 0.27 pounds, so that already offsets the con of the recoil control. Put on the Aim Op V4, so this thing once again has no recoil. Make sure the FAR is maxed out. Put on the Demo X2 grip once again, increase the recoil steadiness by 0.74. At that point, no longer benefits. It increases the recoil control, and last but not least, put on high velocity, max out the bullet velocity, increase the damage range by 0.43 Gs. After that, it doesn't really increase anymore. So just show you guys the outcome of what this amazing build is. This thing is so good. This is basically just another AK with more bullets essentially. So if you don't want to use the cast off, you want something with more bullets, like if you're not confident with the amount of bullets you have, then this is absolutely amazing to have. You don't have to make it prone or anything like that, but if you do mount it, just check this out. This thing is literally not moving. So whatever you want to do with it, you can have a great time and absolutely slay with it. The number 2 weapon we're moving into is the TAC-56. Now, I know it says ACR, and somebody actually pointed out in one of my top 5 videos. That's just because this thing hits like an ACR. So we're starting out with the Harbinger D20, and we increase the bullet velocity of 0.81 inches and the recoil smoothness by 0.54 ounces. This helps with the sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking speed. Move on to the 17.5 Tundra Pro Barrel, max out the damage range, and increase the recoil steadiness by 0.35 pounds. Now, this helps with the damage range, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity at the cost of aim down sight speed and hip recoil control, which honestly, who cares? We're going to put on high velocity, max out the bullet velocity, and increase the damage range by 0.61 Gs. This helps with the bullet velocity, and it says it decreases damage range, but because we increased it, that already offsets it. Put on the FSS combat grip, increase the aiming out of stability at 0.35 inches, and the recoil steadiness by 0.55 ounces. This helps with the recoil control, and after these points, they don't benefit anymore. And the 60 round mag. If you don't want to use that, you can use the 40, but 60 is probably more optimal. And if you don't want to stick with an iron sight, you can replace the FSS combat grip with the Aim Op V4, and you'll be good with that. But show you guys how good this thing is. It's literally incredible. Probably one of my favorite weapons to actually use. It was one of my favorite weapons to use at the beginning of Warzone 2, but then I found the number 1 weapon. Just show you guys, this is such a great weapon. And honestly, in a lot of gunfights, you're gonna win a ton of fights without any struggle with this gun. Now, for the number 1 gun in Warzone 2, we are using the TAC-V. Now, this thing is the ultimate powerhouse. Some say that it's hard to use because of the recoil. I think this build will take away that recoil and give you a phenomenal experience. Now, we have the Custovia DX90. This muzzle is absolutely essential for this build. You want to increase the bullet velocity by 0.84 inches, not anymore, just because at that point it doesn't benefit anymore, and the recoil smoothness by 0.90 ounces. Same with that, it doesn't benefit anymore after 0.90. Sound suppression, bullet velocity, recoil smoothness, and recoil control are increased, and aim down sight speed, aim walking speed, and aiming stability are decreased. You put on the 18-inch precision 6 barrel, max out the damage range, increase the recoil steadiness by 0.39 pounds. This helps with the damage range, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity at the cost of aim down sight speed and hip recoil control. Put on the Aim Op V4, max out the far range, put on a 50 round drum, and then this is a secret ingredient. Now, the FTAC Ripper 56 is actually really special, and not many people know how amazing it is, surprisingly, but raise the aiming out of stability by 0.23 inches and the recoil stabilization, max it out. This helps with aiming out of stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization at the cost of aim down sight speed and walking speed. But the outcome and the end credit is just phenomenal. So check this thing out. This thing literally lasers and absolutely melts so easily that I'm surprised not many people actually use this gun still. A lot of people still use the TAC-56 just because of the apparent recoil this gun has. In my opinion, I think that this is the optimal gun, and I think that you should stick with this gun if you intend to actually do good in Warzone 2. So if this video helped you out, let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know what weapon you're going to be using. Also, like I said, if you haven't seen the top 5 SMG video, please check it out. Link will be in the comment section down below, also in the description, so you guys don't miss anything.